Hello everyone and welcome back to Suzerain, where we did not get a constitution past the Supreme Court, the Court of Justice, but it was not that unexpected given that the great majority of people in the judiciary are either old guard or centrists. We had the reformists on side and one of the centrists, but not quite enough to overturn the Supreme Court, especially with also Hawke and Hengrachi being very prominent, and Isabel Edmonds, who I thought we could maybe get on side. We didn't manage to this time, sadly enough. But so be it. I think we now need to start thinking about our upcoming election and also to stave off any assassination attempts. So I think we want to be looking towards the economy, which seems to have fluctuated a lot between going up and down. We do have a little bit of personal wealth, but our government budget is still pretty terrible. I think if we're going to win the election, we're going to need to fix that government budget as a priority, really. Lucian and I sat in my office waiting for Peter. I was at my desk and he was on the sofa, legs crossed. Sir, I have some news for you. Mr. Hall and I have been working on several possible plans to boost the economy, as is our focus. He is currently compiling a very detailed report with suggested projects. I'll make sure you have a chance to see it soon. He looked at his watch again. Looks like Mr. Vice President is late yet another time. I'm slightly concerned about Peter. He seems to have his mind occupied. He's been late to almost every meeting we have recently. I noticed it too. I need to talk to him in private sometime. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. It was Peter. He walked inside with his flies in both hands. Gentlemen! Why are you so late? We were stuck in traffic around Seoul Square. Some whole gang of ladies trying to organise a legal march. We had to wait for the police to show up. He placed the files on my table, took out several documents and organised them in front of me. Here is everything, just as you asked, our plans for our next reforms. You can use the presidential keys to enact reforms now. We have enough political capital. I also brought a list of suggested reforms from our party. What are your thoughts, Anton? Let's go over the documents. I took a look at the documents. Okay, so we can enact 3 presidential decrees. I don't have enough decree powers to deal with these. Okay, I see. So anything with the red X is not something I'm going to be able to get rid of. With the really controversial things like capital punishment, right to bear arms, etc. Desolinization would be nice. So we're going to sign that one. I imagine that might have some consequences, but we're going to bloody well try. We're going to also... Oh, some stuff requires budget, okay. Gender equality in education. Absolutely, I think that's a good one we can sign. Private prisons, that gives off a small government budget, but still doesn't feel very useful. Lower timetable requires 2 budget, 3 prescription medicine. A lot of this requires budget. Freedom of speech is protected in Seoul Lab with the rise of the new media. With the new decree, we could create a government agency that would protect the independence of the media or control it. That doesn't feel like a great thing. A new decree is set to enact a 20% value-added tax. This tax addition, targeting all sectors, is a strategy to generate fresh tax revenues. It's increasing financial process. Businesses will collect and remove the tax to the Ministry of Economy, marking a significant readjustment. We need the budget. We're going to give it a go. Let's do that. I'm going to hope that's not going to be a huge issue. Following a brief discussion, I took notes about my decisions. Desolinization, huh? You got some balls, Anton. I never thought this would be possible. Sir, this may create a lot of frustration and anger amongst the Conservatives. Let's not forget the fact that we are openly attacking the founder of our party, a very risky move right before the election. Real change doesn't come easy, Lucian, you know that. Of course, sir. I'm not protesting the decision, but merely explaining the situation, that's all. Enacting a new value-added tax will increase our generated tax revenues, but we'll have to understand the public reaction to a new tax levy. Also, public opinion is guaranteed as the consumers and the economy adjust to this change. There's a high chance this might influence the average citizen more negatively. We better put the newly generated money to good use. So either Mr. Wald or the First Lady had a huge influence on your other decision. It's about time we went after equal rights for these ladies. If only because all these women's marches are starting to get annoying. This will, however, anger a lot of Conservatives. Let us not forget the fact that the biggest bulk of our voters aren't socially liberal. This is a risky move right before the election. Half the country is women, Lucian. Yes, but how many of them are actually involved with these demands for change? It is a mistake to make generalisations because of a vocal minority, but let's move on. Not everything's about votes, Lucian. we've got to make some change for the actual betterment of the country, for the betterment of all mankind. One more thing. Mr. Graff has sent you the plans for the abolishment of the special zone. You can still try running through the assembly if you decide to sign it. What do we do? We'll sign the documents, give it a go. It's the Assembly's decision now. Now that everything's settled, I should get to work. We'll catch up soon. We actually have 6 more minutes, but very well, let's call it here. Thank you both. Peter needs to get a bit of a grip though, he's kind of losing himself slightly. Okay, so that increased the government budget. Assignment completed, we've got a couple of democratic stuff done. Women's rights are increased, as is the gender equality. Excellent. So, a couple of trade talks with Lesbia and with somewhere else, but first of all, let's have a look at some of these reports. Swordsman's Minister of Defence, General Joseph, is reporting the efforts to modernise the army is complete. According to his report, our soldiers' equipment has been upgraded with the newest modern industry MI-20 submachine guns, Strong Arm 55 or S-55 assault rifles, B-56 or the Bernard semi-automatic pistol. 1956 a mortar air-cooled 303 Arcadia machine gun. Furthermore, our H3 Hellsword heavy tanks have been upgraded to its newest model, with some increased armour and a more powerful engine. Its armaments have also received substantial upgrades in the form of a new 88mm L43 main gun. That is a lot of military speak I don't understand, and 12.7mm heavy machine gun mounted on top of the turret. I'm sure Joseph knows what he's doing, because I clearly don't. Oh, more Berger stuff. Okay. The Berger Standardisation and Unity Measure, dubbed as the BSUM, outlines the course for the full integration of Berger international governance, advocating for uniformity in governance and a reformed sense of national unity. The GNA passes the following steps. Section 1 endorses the abolishment of the governor's position, transitioning to mayoral elections in each city. This change aligns Berger's local governance with the rest of the nation, fostering a sense of unity and national integration. And calls for the total revocation of the special zone, abolishment of the position of the governor. Berger can meet equal part of Sword land. Section 3 promotes the enforcement of standard national laws and policies, dismantling the current semi-independent security structure. The security of the region will therefore be under the full control of the Ministry of the Interior. Let's give it a go. Probably not going to go very well, but again, we're going to give it a go. Back down to -6 government budget. Okay, trade talks with Vagasland and somewhere else as well, but first of all, let's have a look at some more reports. National Business Council reports negative impact of VAT on spending. The MBC of Lackhaven has expressed concerns about the adverse effects of the value-added tax on consumer spending. According to their reports, the imposition of VAT has resulted in increased costs for consumers and a subsequent decrease in overall spending. This trend poses a significant challenge for the local economy and warrants careful review by policymakers. And our growth is going down again. It's kind of expected, though. Who do you want to speak to first? Vagasland or Lackhaven? Trade talks with Chancellor of Vagasland. Let's give it a go. Midnight was approaching as our delegation boarded SRS Horsword. The large ship was once the royal yacht of King Edmund himself. By the order, so it was repurposed of the leaders of Swordland for state visits. We departed from the port of Lackhaven along with a few other small escort boats. I entered the luxurious compartments reserved for the heads of state, and I lay down on my bed to rest my eyes before we arrived at Wilburn, a major city in Vagasland. The Markian Sea was known for its treacherous waters, but tonight's trip promised to be rather calm and quiet. Still, I couldn't sleep. I went out to the upper deck to have some fresh air. A light breeze was blowing, and I relished in its briny smell. There was nobody here except David. My Foreign Minister was leaning over a rail, getting over the inky waves. Mr. President, I'm surprised you're still up this late. I couldn't sleep. Do you mind if I ask why? Are you also worried about the future all the time? I'm an old man, Mr. President. I've been alive for over 70 years. I spent most of these years worrying about various things, endlessly. What I realised in time was that worrying is simply a part of life. As mankind, we are forever gullible, always reaching out for what we don't have. That includes the choices we could have made and the results which will never come to pass. Thank you for your wisdom, David. It's chilly out here. I must try and go get some sleep. I'm an old man, after all. I recommend you do the same. Good idea. I went back to my compartment to sleep. The dawn arrived and our ship moored at the busy port of Wilburn. Amid the usual camera flashes, our convoy made its way to the train station. After a short, uneventful ride, we arrived at the central train station of Helm, the capital city of Vagersland. A huge crowd was already there, waiting my arrival. They swarmed around me and took photos as I stepped out of the train. Our delegation met with various members of the Vagerslandian cabinet before taking our cars to the royal palace. The flags of the Vagersland and the CSP were waving next to the entrance. Assistants took my belongings and led me to the museum wing. It was there that I saw Chancellor Hegel. He was expecting a very large painting on the wall. So he's a communist. So I'm going to have to kind of bear that in mind. Chancellor Hegel. He turned round. He was a small man of small stature with a bald spot and a striking visage. His famous pipe was in his mouth. We shook hands. Mr. Rain, welcome to Vagersland. It's good to finally meet with you. It's a pleasure to meet with you too, Chancellor Hegel. This was made in 1776 by the famous Vagerslandian painter Otto Guiburn. I looked at the painting. It must have been over 5 meters tall. It was a battle scene. On the left side there were baroners carried by Vags, on the right swords. Cannon of spears formed a triangle at the centre. The sky was red from blood. What do you think about it? I think that we have come far. After all, we are standing here side by side instead of facing each other on a battlefield. We do so much more for unity, Mr. Rain. To me, this painting tells how far we have come. Swords and Valgs might have had troubles in the past, but ultimately, we are brothers. No two countries in the world understand each other more. It's great to hear these important words coming from you. He nodded and pointed towards another painting that was almost as large as the first one. A burning city was depicted. Looking closer, I realised it was Comriat. The Great Fire of Comriat. The most shameful event in all of Vagerslandian history. The scars of it must still sting. We shouldn't bear the sins of our forefathers. Well said, Mr. Rain. Thankfully, we in Vagersland have now cut off the head of the snake called Imperialism. A guard approached the Chancellor. If you'd excuse me for 1 minute. He stepped away with the guard while I looked around. I saw a more recent painting depicting the upheaval of farmers against an aristocrat. What did you say? Hegel's loud voice echoed in the empty halls. Give the miners what they want. As for the director of the company, I want him to face a trial for undermining the workers of Vagersland. Read it to the Minister of Justice at once. No one can exploit our people and expect to get away with it. After receiving the order, the guard hastily left, and Hegel walked over to me. Sorry about that. You know how it is. What was that about? A director of our foreign joint venture mining corporation decided not to pay his miners for their salary for 2 consecutive months. He will be handled. Revolution is a slow process, Mr. Rain. Slow but sure. Follow me. We will have a short breakfast. We made our way to the exquisite dining room. I looked around. The tableware and decor was all coloured blue, gold and white. Smoked bear meat. A local delicacy was served with eggs. After a very delicious meal, we sat down on 2 couches, and I immediately saw the portrait of... There is no way I'm pronouncing that. The portrait of Leon Malienov Chavatangaukuna staring down at me. Leon. What can you tell me about this man? Ah, you spotted the portrait. Well, where do I begin? Comrade Malienov is a good friend of mine. Although I don't agree with him on every matter, he demands respect. Vagerslandian socialism aims to eliminate the power of state through the promotion of our responsibility, freedom and well-being of people. One of our key cornerstones is the devolution of big government to small councils with high citizen participation. We believe that the revolution in Vagersland is stable enough that we do not need the vanguardist approach of Malienovism. Some of these words, honestly, I'm going to struggle with. We are already in the process of such a transformation. However, our revolution here in Vagersland owes a great deal to Malenyov. He is the father of Malenyvism and a symbol of global revolution. Not only is he the first ever communist revolutionary leader, he managed to unite a whole continent, forming the greatest country in the world. He seems like an interesting person. I would like to meet him. Perhaps one day you will. An assistant brought in 2 cups of coffee. Let's begin then. He picked up the documents that were beside him on the small ornamental coffee table and started going through them. I know the details of the deal already, but to sum it up, you want to provide Swedish fishing output from the Agerland region in return for Vagersland harder money. The details were discussed between our ministers, but I do have a few questions. What makes you think that Vagersland, a seafaring nation, requires Swedish fishing output? Why should I accept this deal? More trade means more money circulation. Undoubtedly, it would help both of our nations' economies. So you want to get rid of the recession of yours, then? A valid point. I've been watching Sworden's development with worry over the last few years. Since you are so focused on the economic aspect, let me do that too. It sounds like you have much more to gain from the deal than Vagasland does. He leaned back in his chair and took another puff from his pipe. There's something you can do for me to make this deal work. I want you to recognise Helgeland as Vagaslandian territory. Oh, that's gonna cause some issues. Why do you want this from me? Mr. Rain, are you not reading your newspapers? These damn Angolians are claiming our land as their own. As if that's not enough, they kill my people in their homes in Helgeland, slaughtering them like mere cattle. Imagine they did that to Swordish people. What would you do? I would approach the matter diplomatically. Surely a middle way can be found. Middle way? The window for diplomatic action is closing, Mr. Rain. I'm not sure how much longer I can show restraint. If they want to mess with Vagasland, they will see our might. The more nations we have on side against the Agnolians, the better. That's why. Oh, why? So they're talking about this bit here, I think, one of these islands. Vagasland, Agnolia, Helgeland. I just want to make sure. Okay, Lesbia. You know what? We're going to accept it. I think we have to. Our government budget is too low. We need to make some strong decisions here. He called an assistant nearby. A moment later, the assistant returned with 2 shots of vodka. In Vagasland, we drink on a contract, Mr. Rain. We cleaned the glasses and drank our shots. The strong bite of alcohol tended to a sweeter aftertaste. He took another puff from his pipe. Since we've come this far, I'm not opposed to the idea of an alliance. An alliance, you say? It would be a bit quick, but I'm not opposed either. We have much to gain from an alliance between our 2 nations. This time we will not be on opposing sides of history. This time, swords and vows will stand side by side. I accept, Mr. Rain. We shook hands and he pulled in for a hug. This is great news. Another round. The assistants brought in 2 more shots. We drank them in one go. We must celebrate. Hell, bring the bottle. Thank you for the offer. There's only so much vodka I can drink before lunch. He laughed loudly. As the assistant collected the empty glasses, he whispered into Helgel's ear. Helgel's eyes widened and he clenched his fists in anger. The Agnolians did what? He composed himself and smiled at me. Mr. Rain, I'm afraid you have to excuse me. There's a matter I need to attend to. Is there anything I can help with? Thank you for the offer, but no. Have a good day and enjoy Helm. We shook hands and Hegel left in a hurry. I returned to Holsword with great news. Oh my goodness. Okay, lots of things have just changed. Lots of country relationships, trade tariffs, alliances. Okay, we're going to have to go through this in a little bit more detail. So, start with the economy. Economy is hopefully starting to get somewhere with this now addition of the fishing rights. In terms of diplomacy, we've now got alliance with Vagasland and trade with Vagasland. We have also recognised Helgeland as Vagaslandian, which may not go all too well. Let's just go have a look at the world map for a second. Vagasland, I want to speak to you. You're allied, your military is strong. I think that's a good thing to deter the rather scary Rumburg to the north. But Agnolia are not going to be, they're going to be unfriendly. But they are weak with us. And we already kind of annoyed Martin van Houten, so we're just going to go, we're kind of just going to go all in. Even though actually I would have kind of liked to be friends with him, but hey ho. Needs must be. Have Agnolia done anything that I need to know about in the papers? Just have a quick look. Special zone abolished. VAT in assault on people's pockets. Desolinization finding. Ray makes a decree for gender equality. Swordsland and Vagasland pact. Swordsland recognises Helgeland as Vagaslandian territory. I'm going to say, regardless, Agnolia now stands alone in Eastern Mocope against 2 major regional powers. Ooh. Lots going on. Some big diplomacy and trade decisions happening at the moment. And I just want to have a look at the lesbians. So lesbians are... Okay, they're a kingdom. It's now run by a prime minister. I want to just learn more about them. They are kind of unfriendly with us. Ah, I see. Impose trade tariffs. Significantly impacts the bilateral exchange of capital goods and services. We might want to see if we can shut that down. I wouldn't mind getting the lesbians, not necessarily back on side, but at least a little bit friendlier. I had 2 knocks and I turned around to see David. He was panting heavily. Mr. President, is something wrong? I just received a communication from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Lesbia about our trade deal. Because of our trade deal with Vagastan, they have decided to cancel negotiations. Is there any way we can still get them on the table? Unfortunately not. It seems our trade deal with Lesbia fell apart. I said, unpacking my briefcase. That is not all, Mr. President. What's happened? He handed me a document with the emblem of the Ministry of Economy of Lesbia on it. Lesbia has put tariffs on our trade in retaliation. They're trying to economically weaken us. It looks like we've made an adversary. I put down the document and slammed the table. Let's hope that our decision to go with an ally is not caused huge upset. We'll have to see. It was a dark, chilly evening when Peter called and asked if we could meet. He gave no details. All he said that it was important. I drove alone through household suburbs until I reached the meeting point he named, 147 Rurik Avenue, number 26. Our old campaign headquarters, untouched since the night of the election. This was where everything had begun. I made my way up to the dusty staircase of this office building, and the light in the second floor hallway was out, so I used a cigarette lighter to find my way to the wooden door marked 26. I pulled on the handle, but it wouldn't budge. The heavy door had always been a pain to open. Coming. Peter pushed on the door with all his weight, and it made a screeching sound as it opened. Without further ado, I bid you welcome to this grand nostalgia trip hosted by yours truly, Peter Vecton. He made an exaggerated bow, and the dust on the open door was still settling down. Feeling sentimental yet? Not really, it's just an office. Well, I, for one, am overflowing with nostalgia. Come over here, remember this? He walked over to his old desk and pointed to the gramophone that had annoyed our neighbours and kept us company for so many late nights. Peter flipped the switch and it filled the room with swing music from the 20s. I'll be damned, it still works. Are you going to tell me why we're here? In a bit. He put his hand on the desk and brought a bottle out. He took a swig out of it and passed the bottle to me. No, Peter, you're telling me what's going on. Come on, Anton, I insist. Aren't there any glasses? Palace life is pampering you too much. Just drink from the bottle like the old days. Remember where we came from. Peter snapped his finger to the music while going through the items in the room. It had virtually unchanged since election night. Come on, have a look around, see if it doesn't bring back memories. Let's go through the storage boxes. In one of the storage boxes I found a heavy object wrapped safely. I unwrapped it. It was an emerald-coloured statue of a goat, the symbol of Swordland. I remember this was a gift from Brenda, one of the 53 election campaign assistants. It would look good on my desk in the palace. Brenda. Always second up to you. And where did I get her? Seriously, where? I have no idea where she ended up. We'll take the statue. We'll check our chest drawer. Something in there caught my eye. It was a picture of me and Monica sitting under a tree. I was seen 10 or 15 years ago. We look so young and so happy. Monica would love to see this. Nice find. Look at baby Anton. You didn't have your iconic look. And we'll go through the records next to the gramophone. I found one of my favourite albums ever, Mountains by Janet Gers, a set of plaintive folk songs that made me yearn for the countryside whenever I heard it. What a classic. You should mail that to Frank so you can know what real music is. We'll take it all, that's fine. Enough going through old stuff, let's talk. Yes, all in a good time. I'm good. He shrugged, took a very big gulp of the bottle, and staggered to the side afterwards. I know you, Peter, what are you hiding? Nothing, let's go up to the roof, the view was always amazing from up there. We went up the stairs to the roof, the view was mesmerising, the building as a whole saw twinkled below us, while the stars shone bright in the sky. We sat and leaned back against the wall, taking it all in. Right I was about to start getting up, I heard a sobbing sound. I turned to Peter and saw tears streaming down his cheek. What's wrong? He wiped the tears away. I messed up, Anton. I messed up big time. Evelyn's leaving me. She wants a divorce. What did you do? I've been sleeping with Olivia Suno. There it is! Kind of expected, but at least there's confirmation. I had a feeling about you two. We got careless, I know, I'm so sorry. It's just, Evelyn has been giving me the same since she lost her job, and Livy was giving me sultry looks on the day I hired her. You were away, I was drunk, one thing led to another. But she's more than just a pretty girl, Anton. She's smart and kind. I think we really connected. I like her too, but that doesn't mean I break my vows and risk a scandal for a bit of horizontal polo. That's quite a good way of saying it, actually. I know, but we're ending things. I told her it's too unprofessional, and I want Evelyn back. Oh, what do we do here? Who else knows beside me and the three of you? Nobody, I swear. There was an edge of desperation in Peter's voice. He took another drink. How many years have we known each other? How many scrapes have we gotten ourselves out of? I can handle this myself. Just trust me and don't bring anyone else into this. I turned to face my friend, the Vice President. The habits that got him dubbed the bad boy of Swedish politics when we were young were no longer so charming coming from a middle-aged man. He was still a capable politician. I couldn't ignore our long history together. You've done enough damage, I'll handle it myself. Without waiting for his reaction, I left the rooftop alone and made my way downstairs. On my way out, I grabbed my belongings, took one last back look at the office. It had been home to some happy memories for sure, but this visit had been permanently cured me of any nostalgia. As soon as I arrived home, I headed up to my study, sat down and stared at the telephone. We're going to call Lucien. I think Lucien's a fairly safe person to call. He picked up very quickly. Yes, Mr. President. I told Lucien everything Peter had told me about himself, Evelyn and Livia. Thank you for telling me, Mr. President. This serves to confirm some suspicions of my own. We have to meet. Right now? Tomorrow morning in your office, I leave before either of the two arrive. Don't bring this up with everyone else. I fear we may have more than a mere dalliance on our hands. The line dropped. I stared at the receiver, wondering what his last statement meant. What was going on that I didn't know about? I went to bed, but couldn't sleep at all. Oh, Peter, you silly bugger. You silly bugger. What have you done? Start of the day at the palace. It was early in the morning after my talk with Peter. The sun was just beginning to peek over the horizon. The Maroon Palace was empty save for a few cleaning staff. I entered my office to find Lucien already waiting for me. Mr. President, thank you for meeting with me this hour. I couldn't sleep anyway. Very well. I'm pleased that you chose to call me after your conversation with Mr. Vector last night, although I was already aware of this illicit relationship with Miss Suno. I figured as much. You do know everything that goes on in the palace after all. Lucien smiled. On its own, given Mr. Vector's established reputation as something of a playboy, the affair is unlikely to cause much damage. However, a much more troubling possibility has been brought to light. For some time now, I've privately suspected the presence of an intelligence leak coming from within the Maroon Palace. I believe Miss Suno is our mole. She's been using our relationship with Mr. Vector to gather information. Tell me more. I can do better than that, I'll show you. Lucien reached into his coat pocket, pulled out an audio tape and fed it into the reel-to-reel machine on my desk. This was recorded in the Palace at 6:09 on the second day of your train visit to Vagersland. He pressed play, and I heard Peter and Livia's voices. You're sure everyone's gone for the day? Relax, Liv. No one's working that hard with Anton off in Vagersland. Livia giggled. I heard the sound of kissing, then of drinks being poured. I'm glad you stayed behind. Did he tell you how it's going over there? Do you think there's a chance they'll form an alliance? As a matter of fact, yes. He and Secretary Hegel just sealed the deal. I think Anton's making the steps to isolate Rumburg step by step. In the meantime, I can think of another deal that needs sealing. Lucien grimaced, then switched the tape off. And then what happened? You don't need to hear the rest of it. The important question is, why so much curiosity about these particular alliances? If not, could they strengthen us against Rumburg? And that's not all I found. I found her resume on file. There's a year-long gap between her finishing secretarial school and beginning her career. Normally this would be looked into, but Miss Suno was hired before a background check could be completed by one Peter Vexton. Just then, there was a knock on the door, and Livia opened it cautiously. Good morning, Mr. President, Mr. Gallade. I didn't realise you'd be in so early. Can I get you some coffee? Close the door. Have a seat. Lizzie sat. She looked puzzled. Is something the matter? Enough pretending. Your secret is out. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Livia Peters told me everything. Livia based her face in her hand. Buried her face in her hands, even. I'm so sorry, Mr. President. I was foolish, and Peter was so nice to me. But it's over now. Nobody ever needs to know. That's not what the President means, Miss Suno. Referring to you being an intelligence agent for Rumburg. Livia sat upright, and she looked shocked. Pardon me, Mr. Glade, but are you feeling alright? He's fine. What do you have to say for yourself? Mr. President, I understand if you don't want to keep me my job, but why smear without answering accusations? Miss Suno, indulge me for a moment. What were you doing in the year 1951? Livy's face flushed. If you must know, I was working as a cigarette girl in Porto's. It's a Lackhaven saloon. I was saving up so I could afford my own place in Holsword. Here's the proprietor's number if you need to double check. She scribbled a telephone number over the piece of paper and Lucian snatched it up. Ooh, why have you been asking so many questions about what I do? To tell the truth, Mr. Rain, I was hoping to run for office myself someday. I want to make a real difference in the world, like Miss Morgana or Miss Walder. But I guess I messed up by getting involved with Peter. Now they're all going to say I stepped my way to the top. And you're questioning Peter about Sorlin's potential alliances? I told you, Wait, how do you know that? There was a loud pounding on the door. Peter barged in without waiting for an answer. He was unshaven and wore the same clothes as the night before. I came as soon as I heard the three of you were in here, Anton. What the hell are you doing? I told you I had this under control. Sit down and shut up, Peter. You've done enough damage. Peter took a seat on the far end of the sofa. He looked over at Olivia and noticed her troubled expression. God, why involve her? This is my mess. She did nothing wrong. There's a small chance she could be a spy. What? I have reason to believe she is relaying information to Rumburg, information that you leaked to her in your carelessness. Lucian rewound his tape and played it again. As Peter listened, his eyes widened in disbelief. Lucian, you rat bastard, you've been bugging my office. I don't know why I made him more northern there. I'm sure there's an explanation for this. Both Peter and Olivia were glaring at Lucian now. He looked unrepentant. I had noticed the Vice President's behaviour becoming increasingly erratic and unprofessional over the past months. I wanted to get over to the root of the cause. So why attack your own goddamn colleague? And for what? Have you been getting off with this, you pervert? Certainly not. I believe that along with the certain gaps in Miss Suno's resume, this tape makes for a compelling case to investigate the Secretary for Espionage. Whether or not the investigation yields positive results, Mr. Vecton should be held accountable for his willingness to divulge such sensitive information. He ought to stand trial or at the very least resign. Peter's jaw dropped and Olivia stood up. If I may, Mr. President, I've been paying some attention to what goes on in the palace. Not because I'm sort of agent, but because of genuine interest. Hard as that might be for you to believe, Mr. Glade. She scowled at Lucy and then turned back to me. And from what I've seen, this man has been attempting to undermine your Vice President at every turn, perhaps with the goal of replacing Peter himself. Lucian's been nothing but loyal. Loyal to you, it's true, he can never stand me. Lucian frowned. My personal misgivings about Mr. Vecton aside, I'll never do anything to harm this administration. Mr. Vecton, on the other hand, has at best committed adultery and at worst delivered state secrets straight into enemy hands. Who could I believe? Lucy, can I speak to you alone for a moment? Peter and Olivia exchanged one glances before exiting my office. What are you going to do, Mr. President? You're oh god. You're the strategist here, you should make the call. I already told you what we should do, so investigate Miss Suno. And if she turns out to be a spy and the world gets out, I'll look like a fool. Not if Mr. Vecton shoulders the blame as he should. We'll decide that when the time comes. Sir, do I have your permission to proceed with the investigation? Yes. I feel like we have to go forward with the investigation. I think we have no choice. Lucian adjusted his tie. I'll apologise to Miss Suno and tell her this has all been a misunderstanding. We can't have her running away during the investigation. No, I'll do it myself. She's been too suspicious of you. Very well, sir. Lucian gave a slight bow as he left the office. I sat by myself for a while, wondering where exactly I had set myself in motion. Oh my goodness, mate. Definitely a interesting start to what might be the beginning of the end. Okay, results of the affair. Several days have passed since I ordered the investigation into my secretary, Olivia Suno. Both Peter and Olivia have been acting unnaturally nice to me, believing I'd let them off the hook for the affair. They seem to be avoiding each other in the hallways, though. I was just settling in behind my desk when Lucian knocked on my door. Sir, a moment of your time. Lucian entered my office and closed the door behind me. Our security team travelled to Lackhaven to speak to the owners of the pub, Miss Suno, and confirmed that one Olivia Suno had worked there. The description of her did not match that of your secretary. However, it did match that of an unidentified corpse that washed up in Lenkberg Bay 2 months before your inauguration. If that was Livia Suna, who's the woman working for me? Further investigation by operatives in Rumburg matched Miss Suna's description to woman named Iana Vance, last seen graduated from Crimsad Political Sciences Institute. Recent coded transmissions from Rumburg have mentioned a deeply embedded covert agent named Vance, but our intelligence always assumed it was a man. That lying two-faced succubus. How could we have missed all this? As mentioned, Miss Suna was hired without a background check. It's possible that all this could have been avoided, and any Mr. Vecton's blood flow be directed to his brain when he selected her. But none of that can be helped now. What are you going to do now, sir? I'm going to have Peter castrated. What do you think I should do? The standard procedure would be to try Miss Suna for espionage. If we do so, it's only a matter of time before the media pieces together what happened. I don't want to get Marcel on it, that sounds bad. I look like a fool for having her under my nose this entire time. That's why I must let Mr. Vector take the fall. I know his actions were problematic. Problematic is an understatement. Mr. Vector put you in danger by failing to order a background check on your closest personal staff. He betrayed your confidence to a woman with whom he was committing adultery. Anton, would you do the same to your so-called best friend? I don't know. I can't put myself in his shoes. Try guzzling half a bottle of whiskey, that might help. Lucy inside. I'm your chief strategist. I've advised you what I believe is the best strategy, but of course the ultimate decision is yours. I will shoulder the blame along with him. It's my administration. I will take part of the fall. Lucy looked as if he were about to object one last time, but instead smiled thinly. Very well. I shall consult with our friend Mr. Coronti and write a statement for you to read at the press conference. I'll leave you to handle Miss Vance. With pleasure. Lucia nodded and walked out. I called Carl Grieser from my desk and explained the situation. Who's Carl Grieser? Oh yes, Horsell Police. After a few minutes I rang for Livia. She entered my office. Is there something you need, Mr. President? Please sit down. A barely perceptible flash of fear crossed her face, and she sat. Why did you call me in here, sir? I nodded towards my office doorway. Carl Grieser was standing there with two of his guards, blocking the entrance. Iana Vance, you're under arrest of suspicion of espionage. Please come with me. Her eyes darted across the room. What the hell is going on? Mr. President, have you let loose and get your head? I thought you were smarter than that. Ooh, I'm sorry I had to come to this. Carl's man grabbed her arms and began dragging her out. No, you can't do this to me. Peter, hearing her cries, rushed out of his office. Liv, what the hell? Anton, what's going on? She was using you all along. Livia, tell Peter who you really are. I won't say another word without a lawyer present. Should Peter square in the eye. Except this. You're a sad old drunk and a lousy lay. Honestly, if I were a Rumburg spy, I'd barely have to do a thing. You two have solemn right for the taking. She straightened up, ran her hand through her curls, and allowed Carl to lead her away. Peter sank to the floor in front of me. Anton, what the hell just happened? Come to my office, you're making a scene. Once Peter was in my office, I shut the door and explained everything Lucian told me about Livia. And you believed him? Well, better safe than sorry, especially after what she called me. At least we finally have this ordeal behind us. Let's get back with running the country, shall we? Actually, I have to tell you something. Lucian wanted you to resign. Lucian wants you to resign. Peter looked at me with an indignant expression. Of course he does that thing. Did you tell him off? Oh, I feel like he's got to resign. He'll be forever associated with the administration. Sorry, Peter. You're off the books. Peter's face fell. He seemed to sink into the couch. I guess I deserve this, don't I? No, but we need someone to take the fall for this scandal or the administration suffers, or... Oh, what do we do here? Yes, you did put us in danger. He exhaled slowly. I could see tears in his eyes. I'm so sorry, Anton. I was never cut out for this job. You did great. Solon's just not ready for a vice president like you yet. Don't patronise me. You have some time before the news gets public. I suggest you get your affairs in order. Alright, I get the message, but first... He grabbed the bottle of Elroy Maroon 30-year-old from the shelf by my desk. To new beginnings. He drained a third of the bottle in one long swig, then got to his feet, and suddenly made his way out the door. I knew this was for the best, but I hope my friend will be alright. That something tells me he's not going to be. National security breached. Yeah, that's not going to do all too well for us, is it? Political briefing meeting. There's going to be a lot to deal with going forward in that. But I think we'll leave it there. We've made an alliance with Vagersland, but we've also had a major scandal, and our alliance with Vagersland has caused some potential issues elsewhere. We'll have to see if that's a positive or a negative, that alliance. It may stave off Rumburg. Because Rumburg are very, very strong. They're equivalent now, but I believe that's because we are ranked with Vagersland. Goodness me, what a run, what a shift. What a shift in the office. We'll leave it there. More to come soon indeed. I feel like we're approaching the beginning of the end one way or another. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.